I contacted my part-time job, which was the EMS office at Atlantic Ambulance Corporation. About 30 minutes later, they called me back and says, "We are set for the day. Come in tomorrow morning." So I reported the next morning at 5:30, and we joined the New Jersey EMS task force to go into the city. We were directed up to Chelsea Pier, which was on the West Side Highway, and there we parked 150 ambulances between 9:30 and 10 o'clock on the morning of the 12th. We were told to respond to the towers. We had a patient. And as we drove down, I never had a crowd cheer me going on an ambulance call. Certainly not one where they were missing over 300 firefighters at that time. I set up 2 IVs, got the trauma supplies laid out. We were ready to go to work on a patient as soon as we got them in the truck. And state trooper stepped up and said, "We don't need you. You can return." And our hearts sunk because we'd been there to help someone. They realized that they did not have a viable patient. And we returned very quietly to the back of the line. We got another call. And we went down and did it all over again. "No, we don't need you. You can return." Two strikes against us. I mean, we wanted to, everybody there wanted to save somebody. Just about 5:30, 6 o'clock, firefighter that had the walkie-talkie, he goes, "You go in the pile, we got an injured worker." We arrived on location. We stood by for about 10 or 15 minutes. It was during that time that we were standing out there. You could feel the pulverized concrete and glass and stuff just settling down on your skin. And get your uniform got covered and stuff. Finally, they brought out the guy. My 2 partners got in the back with him. I was driving. The injured Port Authority police officer's partner got in front with me. I really wish I could remember his badge number, because I looked at a man who was totally physically and emotionally drained. There was just no life expression on his face. He was just staring. Put my hand on his shoulder and asked him if he was okay. He goes, "Yeah." And I went, "No. Take a breath. Close your eyes. Are you okay?" He said he would be. Then we headed back up to Chelsea Pier, and I never saw another ambulance go to the pile. When I got home, about 3 o'clock in the morning, my family all got up, and my son, daughter, and my wife, we talked. I told them what we'd done, and we tried to go to sleep. My wife then got up a couple hours later to go to work. I talked to her, and was told later that that was the last time I talked to anybody until Friday night. Friday night was a national church service. And at the national church service, I sat back to church, didn't say anything to anybody until right at the end. I remember saying, 22 years in the fire service, EMS, didn't prepare me for what I walked into. The tough part for me really came about 10 days after I'd been to the city. This is New York City, 45 miles from where I lived. I'm not going to know anybody. One of our women's basketball players at the university, Lisa Egan, she talked her sister Samantha into joining her with a financial company that had an office there in the Trade Center. Unfortunately, I had to tell her college roommate that they had found her. Port Authority police officer, Lehman Callahan, his wife and my wife worked together at the hospital. Lehman told one lady his name and where he lived. after he escorted her out of the building and turned and walked back in. He didn't walk out. My brother was holding a christening ceremony for his son, and the godmother was there. The godmother said, "Is it okay if my brother comes? He's visiting from New York." This was up in D.C. His father, Michael Judd, chaplain for New York City Fire Department, that was carried from one World Trade Center and laid on the altar. But the one that got me the most, 2 weeks before 9/11, getting ready for football camp, number 77, Don Adams, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. He was the line. He's huge. He came by to check to see what the team was going to be like this year. And we talked football for about 5 minutes because he had something else he wanted to talk about. The new love of his life, his 2-week-old baby girl. I could see the look on his face as he described her and how proud and honored and privileged he was to have the responsibility of taking care of her. Donnie was the vice president of that financial company that Sam and Lisa worked for. He wrote the building down. But it hasn't really stopped since then. The last numbers I saw, over 270 firefighters had succumbed to illnesses. I'm on that list. I just saw a doctor down here. He goes, "Gee whiz, you've had the esophagus operated on you, thyroid removed, and your lungs are messed up. Good thing you went up in New York, it's just like 9/11 disease." I looked at him and says, "Doc, I was." It was worth it. John 15:13. No greater gift has any man than he laid down his life for a friend. And that's what the 343 and the other rescuers did that day. They did their job. And it's right for us to remember them always.